It's day 32, part 1 of 118 days with the Tudors, and today we're thinking about 1536, which is an enormous year. So much happens this year, and we can't cover all of it, but I am going to do 2 videos. So this first one is thinking about the death of Katherine of Aragon, and my second one will be on the death of Anne Boleyn, and there's also going to be an extra video provided by somebody else. So I'll tell you about that at the end of the Anne Boleyn video. In the December of 1535, Katherine of Aragon is living at Kimbolton Castle in Cambridgeshire. She's been there for a couple of months, and she becomes unwell in December. We don't know exactly what at this point anyway. It's just described as a prolonged illness. Now, she has developed a taste for Welsh beer, which she's drunk quite a lot of in this since she's been ill and just before, and this later leads to rumours put about by Chapuis, who she's very close to, that she's been slowly poisoned, that some poison's been added to this beer and it's killed her over time. That's very improbable. I think she just quite liked the beer. She becomes ill in December. No one seems hugely concerned in that they think she's going to survive. Her physician, so her doctor, writes to Chapuis and says, don't worry about coming, she's going to be all right. I'll let you know if things take a turn for the worse. And she does start to improve. And on the 13th of December, even then, writing to her nephew, the Holy Roman Emperor, just begging him to intercede with Henry and sort of stop what's going on with Henry and Anne. So even at this point, she's fighting for her case, because she's not just worried about herself, she's worried about heresy coming into England, she's worried about the people, she's worried about the country. The 29th of December, she does take a turn for the worst, and the doctor writes to Chapuis and tells him he should come urgently. Chapuis is at the English court at the moment and he needs permission from Henry to leave. Luckily, Henry lets him go, and he seems apparently relieved that Katherine is not long for this world, thinking that once she's gone, he'll be able to have a nice little alliance with her nephew after all. He travels for 3 days to get there. So he's travelling from London to Kimbolton Castle. He's actually beaten there by Lady Willoughby, who has rushed herself from London. Now, Lady Willoughby is one of Katherine's oldest, most trusted friends. They were on the crossing together when she first came from Spain to England, and they had that terrible crossing, and they've been friends ever since. Lady Willoughby has remained very loyal to Katherine. So she appears, but she has to really fight to get into the house. She has to pretend that she's lost her written permission to even be there, and then kind of fall on the mercy of the people there, saying, oh, you know, you wouldn't let a poor old lady, you know, be out in the cold on a night such as this, because obviously it's late December. And she gets her way, she gets into the house and she gets to spend time with Katherine. And Katherine, this does help lift Katherine's spirits to have her most loyal friend there. So when Chapuis does arrive, Katherine can barely sit up, definitely can't stand. She's not sleeping because she's got such a pain in her stomach. She's not really eating. But Chapuis does write in some of his letters that she is actually way more concerned with his lack of sleep and his need to rest than she is with her own. But she does worry about Princess Mary. She talks about that a lot, and she worries about the country, and she still can't understand why the Pope or the Emperor haven't done anything about this situation. Chapuis has to be careful what he's saying in front of Katherine. Cromwell hasn't let him go alone. He sent his own men with him to just keep an eye on him. He doesn't even trust Katherine on her deathbed. Mary did ask to go and be with her mother on her deathbed, and Henry refused. Chapuis does spend 2 hours a day with her for 4 days, but then he has to go back to court because he can't leave for too long and risk angering Henry. When he leaves, it seems like she's getting a little bit better. She's able to eat a little bit. She is a bit more at peace. But on the evening of the 6th of January, she becomes very agitated, very fidgety, and she's worried that she's not going to last the night. So she calls for confession, she calls for her last rites. which she gets, and she continues to pray until her last moments, just before 2 p.m. on the 7th of January. She was laid to rest on the 29th of January at Peterborough Abbey, the same day that Anne Boleyn would miscarry. So Henry's now not only free from Catherine, he's potentially free from Anne too. So that's the last we will hear of Katherine of Aragon, and what an amazing woman. Well, it's the last we'll hear about her for now. Anyway, I will definitely be talking about her in the future. So head over to my next video when we'll be saying goodbye to our next queen, Anne Boleyn.